Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Savita Sharma from University of Delhi, and today we are going to discuss about the module HR diagram part 2 from the paper Astronomy and Astrophysics. After studying this module, students, you should be able to first of all recognize the need to augment spectral classification with luminosity classification. Secondly, you will be able to recall the names and characteristics of the various luminosity classes. Then you will be able to state the complete stellar classification of stars. After learning this module, you will be able to explain the concept of spectroscopic parallax. You will be able to understand how stars with a spectral class can be distinguished as giants and dwarfs. You will be able to explain how spectroscopic absolute magnitudes of stars are determined. Then you will be able to appreciate how CM diagrams of clusters are important. And then you will be able to distinguish between globular cluster and open cluster of stars. So, to begin with, let us have some introduction. In the last module, we saw that when we plot some measure of luminosity such as absolute magnitude against some measure of stellar surface temperature such as spectral class or color, then a pattern emerges which shows that the stars are arranged in neat families. This pattern is called the HR diagram. Important families of stars are the supergiants, giants, the main sequence, and white dwarfs. The main sequence is like a band running from top left corner to the bottom right corner. The stars in the lower main sequence are the most abundant stars in the galaxy, followed by white dwarfs and giants. The use of Stephan-Boltzmann law shows that in the plane of the HR diagram, the lines of constant radii are straight lines sloping downwards. The stellar radii increase upwards, so do the masses of stars. Since a star of a given spectral class can belong to any of the families supergiants, giants, main sequence, or white dwarfs, there is a need to supplement the stellar classification which is in the horizontal direction with another classification which runs vertically. This classification is called the luminosity classification, which we are going to discuss in detail in this module. The topic is luminosity classification. If we draw a vertical line in the HR diagram, such as red line, as we draw in the figure in our previous module, we find that a star belonging to a given spectral class may be a white dwarf star, a main sequence star, a giant star, or a supergiant star. Therefore, to state that a star belongs to a certain spectral class, say G2 for the Sun, is an incomplete statement. A comprehensive classification scheme must at least be two-dimensional. When we move horizontally, Along the HR diagram, it must give the spectral class of a star, and as we move upwards, it should tell us the family to which it belongs. The vertical classification was suggested by Morgan, Keenan, and Kelman and is therefore known as MKK classification. The another name is the luminosity classification. The figure on this luminosity classification is shown below on the next slide. Incidentally, figure in our previous module also shows this classification. Luminosity classification. The figure given here shows the schematic of luminosity classification. Stars of a given spectral class can be supergiants, giants, or dwarfs depending upon their location in the HR diagram. Therefore, a two-parametric classification is necessary. Such a classification was proposed by Morgan, Keenan, and Kelman. This system of classification is known as MKK or luminosity classification. Luminosity classes. The figure given here shows an HR diagram showing luminosity classification. Luminosity classes are: the first class is the bright supergiants, second class is the less bright supergiants, third class is giants, fourth class is subgiants, then in the fifth we get the main sequence, the sixth one is subdwarfs, and the seventh one is the white dwarfs. The complete spectral classification is a combination of spectral class and the luminosity class. For example, the Sun is designated as G2V. Here, V denotes that the Sun is a main sequence star. Spectroscopic parallax. We have already mentioned that the HR diagram is a very important tool for astronomers. One of the things that they can do with its help is to determine the parallax of a star when parallax cannot be found by a trigonometric method. All that is required is that the star is bright enough so that its spectrum can be taken and its apparent magnitude can be measured. The spectrum of the star allows us to determine its spectral class. Armed with this information, we can draw a vertical line in the plane of the HR diagram, such as the red line in the figure. We can see the figure on the next slide. Now we look for various features in the spectrum which give a clue to its luminosity class. One of the features that does it is, as we shall see below, is the relative strength of certain spectral lines with respect to other lines. This fixes the position of the star on the vertical line. Let's say the position be as S. This amounts to fixing the luminosity class of the star. Then a horizontal line from S determines the star's absolute magnitude, which from the relation can be converted into the parallax of the star. Parallax determined this way is called the spectroscopic parallax. Spectroscopic parallax. If the spectrum of a star can be obtained and we get some clue to its luminosity class, the star can be placed on the HR diagram. The figure here shows the spectral classes with the visual absolute magnitude. The HR diagram allows us to get its absolute magnitude m. If the star is sufficiently bright, we can get its apparent magnitude small m. Then the relation capital M equals to small m plus 5 log p give its parallax, which may be difficult to get by geometrical means. Let us learn how to distinguish between giants and dwarfs of the same spectral class. Saha's ionization formula shows that the degree of ionization of a species of atoms depends largely on temperature. Pressure plays a small but significant role in determining the degree of ionization. High temperature and low pressure leads to fewer collisions, smaller chance of recombination, so that they dispose atoms in the atmosphere of a star towards high degree of ionization. The graph shown here is the spectra of 4 stars of spectral class F8. The stars are Delta CMA, a bright supergiant, Gamma CYG, which is again a supergiant, Nu Peg, which is a subgiant, Nu Ant, which is a main sequence star. Now notice how the line strength of certain lines varies from supergiants to main sequence. The pressure determined by surface gravity of a star is lower in the atmosphere of a giant than the pressure in the atmosphere of a dwarf star. So, in order that the spectra of giants and dwarfs be similar, the temperature of giants should be lower by, say, delta T. If the compensation in temperature of giants is not equal to delta T, the degree of ionization of certain atoms in giants will be higher or lower than that of certain other atoms which are relatively insensitive to changes in temperature. Shows the plot of absolute magnitude and the ratio of line intensities within a spectral class. A given ratio of intensities fixes the absolute magnitude of the star. This subtle interplay of pressure and temperature either enhances or weakens the strength of certain lines in giants compared to that in dwarfs. These differences in line strength of certain atoms allows us to distinguish giants from dwarfs within the same spectral class. It turns out that the intensity ratio of certain lines sensitive to changes in temperature and lines which are relatively insensitive to changes in pressure and temperature are proportional to the absolute magnitudes of stars within the same spectral class. So M, that is the capital M, is the spectroscopic absolute magnitude. The graph here shows the observed ratio of certain spectral lines as a function of absolute magnitude within a spectral class. The plot here or the image here is a page from the report deposited in McGill University by Vibgor Dollas entitled Spectroscopic Absolute Magnitudes and Parallaxes of 200 A-type stars. Note that in this graph, intensity ratio is along the y-axis and the absolute magnitudes are along the x-axis. If the ratio of line strengths can be determined for a star, the absolute magnitude of this star can be found out. The absolute magnitude can be converted into parallax of this star, whose parallax cannot be determined otherwise. These parallaxes are called spectroscopic absolute magnitudes. So students, let us now learn about the color magnitude diagrams of stellar clusters. As said earlier, the CM diagram is an important tool for studying stellar characteristics. All the characteristics are known as soon as the location of a star on the CM diagram is specified. Now, all the characteristics of a star, including those with which the diagram is constructed, are determined only by only three quantities, namely the mass, chemical composition, and age of the star. So the three quantities which by which the diagram is constructed are the mass, the chemical composition, and the age of the star. How the mass and age of the star operate to define its place on the CM diagram may be found out by studying the CM diagrams of stellar clusters. The stars within the stellar cluster are presumably born at the same time and have the same chemical composition. So, the only way in which they could differ is that they have different masses. We also know that stars of different masses evolve at different rates. These factors combine to make the CM diagram of a cluster different from those of the other clusters. Color magnitude diagram, which can also be called as CM diagram. The graph or the figure given here is the color magnitude, that is the CM diagram of globular cluster M55. We already know it is easier to find the color, that is BV, of a star more accurately than its surface temperature or spectral class. Astronomers therefore prefer to work with the HR diagram, in which color is used as abscissa. The diagram is then called color magnitude diagram. CM diagrams of stellar clusters help in unraveling the process of stellar evolution, because we can assume that the stars of a cluster were born together and they differ only in their masses. So students, let us now study the types of stellar clusters. Clusters are broadly of two types. One found in the bulge of the galaxy and have a spherical shape are called as the globular clusters. Clusters found in the plane of the galaxy, which have no regular shape, are known as open clusters. Globular clusters may have as many as 1,000,000 stars. These stars are densely packed, giving these clusters the characteristic spherical shape. The stars in these clusters are old stars. The image showing here is the Hubble Space Telescope image of the globular clusters M80. Now let us study about the open clusters. In contrast to the globular clusters, open clusters contain only a few hundred to a few thousand stars. These stars are called as young stars. The stars are loosely packed. There is a lot of gas and dust in the open clusters, indicating the continuous star-forming activity in these clusters. Many of these clusters are visible with the naked eye. Pleiades cluster M45 is a good example. The image shown here is the image of the Pleiades cluster M45. A story from the Greek mythology says that Orion is still chasing the Pleiades across the night sky. This sky map shows the relative positions of Orion and Pleiades. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. First of all, we learned that the stars of a given spectral class may belong to any of the stellar families. This necessitates a two-dimensional classification, horizontal and vertical. The vertical classification, called the MKK or luminosity classification, designates the bright supergiants as belonging to class, less bright supergiants as giants, as subgiants, or as main sequence, as subdwarfs, lying between dwarfs and the main sequence, and as white dwarf stars. Then we learnt about the spectrum, that is, by studying the spectrum of a star, it is possible to place it on the HR diagram. And once the star has been placed on the diagram, we can infer its absolute magnitude. Then, knowing its apparent magnitude by direct observation, we can determine the parallax of the star. This parallax is known as spectroscopic parallax. This is useful if star's parallax cannot be determined by trigonometric method. Within a spectral class, we can distinguish between giants and dwarfs by looking at the line strengths and weaknesses of certain elements with respect to certain other elements. We saw the plot of absolute magnitudes against ratios of strengths of certain lines within a spectral class that helps us to determine absolute magnitude of stars, called spectroscopic absolute magnitude. Astronomers prefer to use colors of stars to spectral class for getting the HR diagram because colors can be conveniently determined to greater accuracy. Such a diagram is called the color magnitude or CM diagram. The CM diagram of star clusters can help us to estimate their ages. Then you learned that globular clusters are distinguished from the open clusters by being more densely packed than the open clusters. Thank you.